Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here today talking about Secret Invasion, Season 1, Episode 1, Resurrection. We open with Everett Ross, Bilbo Baggins himself. He'll always be Bilbo Baggins to me. Meeting with a conspiracy theorist who I believe is also a CIA agent named Prescott. They call him Agent Prescott, so I think he's actually an agent. Prescott is convinced that the Skrulls are on the verge of inciting a war between the U.S. and Russia, which we find out later, good theory.
Yeah.
Pretty good theory.
Yeah,
well done, sir.
Yeah.
Prescott then attacks Ross, thinking he's secretly a Skrull. Scott shoots him, then calls for an extraction from Maria Hill, and then gets killed by Talos, and we get the reveal that at least this version of Bilbo Baggins is indeed a Skrull.
Yeah. When I saw him dead, I was like, that's the version of Bilbo Baggins that I prefer.
Oh, God, you're killing me. And Bilbo Baggins.
That's right, killing both of you.
Oh, man. I'll tell you this. Agent Prescott, what? That guy needs a raise. I mean, he's dead now, but
yes.
wow.
Yes.
He called everything, man. That guy was
exactly.
completely on point. So we end with the Skrulls detonating a series of bombs in Moscow after luring Nick Fury and Maria Hill to the scene, thus implicating the U.S., if I had to guess. I think that was the purpose of that. The leader of the Skrulls, Gravik, morphs into Nick Fury and shoots Maria Hill, apparently killing her. Big shocking moment there. The camera pulls back as she lays dying on the street, showing that she is indeed not a Skrull.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Maria Hill, apparently. But in a show where it's all about misdirection, you never know for sure. But boy, she looked like they had killed off that character. So with that said, Paul.
Yes.
What do you think of episode 1?
I grew to like it. I mean, I started off having real low expectations.
Okay.
And while it's not as nuanced as perhaps I might like for a spy show,
Okay.
there were a number of nuanced things, though. So I'm certainly enjoying it, but I'm wondering if I didn't say the exact same thing about the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That I might have liked that
true.
too, and that didn't stand up. So
That would be, you're right, that would be the analog in terms of Marvel shows, because Falcon and Winter Soldier was also trying to tell somewhat of a spy versus spy type story. You've also got a group that feels disenfranchised. What was it? The Flag Smashers, I think is what they were.
Yeah.
And, and what they would be like similar to the Skrulls here. But right, that show, I think that show had some issues just because of the pandemic. I feel like they had to completely scrap the original idea for that show, whatever that was, and go with something else. So
yeah, I should rewatch it because, I mean, what this show has above there, while Sam is, I like the actor, and I'm not sure if the character they've established him as well as they established Nick Fury. So that
you got Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, come on.
Right, yeah, but I mean, we've seen, it's not like, even though we haven't seen him alone in a show like this, the way that he functioned here is still pretty much essentially how he has been functioning. Even though, they're making a big point of how it's like, oh, you're not ready. It's like the classic, I'm getting too old for this shit.
It really is, isn't it? He's a lethal weapon. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, if I had to give a theory, I'm gonna guess he's not too old for this shit. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Oh, interesting. Oh, all right.
I'm gonna guess he surprises everyone with his, because right now what they've done is, and it's good, like they've given him a villain, Gravik, who seems to be at this point like miles ahead of him in the chess game. Like, oh, you're always 3 moves ahead, but not now. And it does seem like Gravik is ahead of him. Lured him to Moscow, blew up the stuff, shot his partner. Like, oh, look at me, I'm way ahead of you. But I gotta feel like by the end of this series, by the end of this season, it's gonna be like, oh, look, the tables have turned. It was my plot all along. Anyway. But no, I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually.
I wonder though if it's throughout the episode it's all you're not ready, after the blip, and I tend to watch shows with the subtitles on.
I did not have the subtitles on. Okay.
So if you remember in Avengers Infinity War, was it Infinity War?
Yep.
Yeah, that was
the one where he
one.
disappears.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of that, he disappears, right? And he's like, and he
Yeah,
disappears. Here, he didn't say that. He said, oh no.
Yeah, good point. I didn't think about it at the time, but you're absolutely right. They changed that.
But if you looked at the subtitles, it said mother.
Okay, that's interesting. So people have termed this show like Marvel's Andor. I think that analogy partially works, but not really in the most important way, which the writing is nowhere near Andor's writing. It just isn't. But not to say that it's fine. It's just not notably better than the other show's writing yet.
Yeah, an example of what I would have liked, because I think they did some bits to make the spycraft feel like it was a world in which you had to have those sort of alliances and everything, but it's still not at the level of they talked about the war at the very beginning before he got shot. He talked about how all these little attacks were happening and everything, but you don't see the effect on the community or people around them the same way you did in Andor. Another thing that occurred to me is maybe they want the death of Maria Hill to function the way that Coulson's death functioned for the Avengers.
I thought about that too, because she was there. She was the one that was like, "Oh, you're going to use this to unite them," or whatever it was. Because she was actually talking to Nick Fury about
that's right.
Coulson's
That's
death
right.
at the
Yeah.
time.
So he certainly. I mean, she has the most scenes with him probably in all the MCU. And so, if he's still waiting before, you're still not ready. It's like, well, what's it going to take?
That's true.
A dead Maria Hill, he should be ready.
Turns out I was not ready, and I'm just gonna go back up to space. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that said, we do see him back on the space station for the Marvels movie. Now, where that takes place in time, I guess we don't know for a fact, but it suggests that it's coming after, like he goes back, maybe. I don't know, anyway. But I'd say the way that this is like Andor is that it is gritty, it's grim in a lot of ways. We have Maria Hill's death. It is a story about espionage, people with secrets, who can you trust? I mean, those are definitely themes from Andor. Sure. And much like there aren't Jedi in Andor, we don't have like the super powered superheroes.
Yeah, that's true.
Here as well. So it's kind of like street level, non super powered people doing espionage. So in that way, I think there are some similarities there.
And interestingly, one aspect of the Skrulls, which we haven't seen yet, and we might not even see in this series, is the Super Skrull, which the Super
I've heard the term.
was particular nemesis of the Fantastic Four, and he actually had the powers of the Fantastic Four as he battled them. So, we haven't seen any super-powered Skrull yet.
Actually,
although they kind of set them up to be stronger than humans.
Yes, they did.
So, and also resistant to radiation.
That's it. They can live near power plants, and that's okay.
Like Chernobyl, presumably, but. What's to stop them from? Well, I guess the plan might be to create a nuclear winter. After nuclear explosions and everything, and then all the humans would die from radiation poisoning, and they'd just be fine.
I don't know if that's technically their plan, but their plan in some ways is, they feel betrayed that they were promised a new homeworld. Didn't happen. The blip happened. All that kind of stuff happened, and so now they're saying, well, then let's just defeat the humans, and this will be our homeworld.
Right.
That's kind of the thing. And so maybe that's the way they're going to do it. I mean, right now they're just trying to turn the humans against each other. I guess because they feel like they don't have the numbers. Right. I guess to like mount.
Well, it could be reminding like the Lazarus Project, where it's like, oh, okay, let's start a war. Like George's plan to make the Russians think that the Americans are trying to start a war, and then next thing you know, a nuclear bomb goes off.
And then the Lazarus Project resets it, and then they're like, what? What the hell just happened? But, okay, actually, let's jump to this, because I was going to save this for a little later. But what exactly, I mean, you probably don't know the answer to this, but
no, I probably
what
don't.
are the Skrulls' powers in that it's not simply shape-changing? Now, we see they've got this ability, this device to acquire memories.
Yes.
I noted that they're keeping the replaced humans in tubes.
That's true.
Which makes me think maybe Bilbo's in one of those tubes.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think he's going to need rescuing.
Yeah.
So they're going to. Because I don't think, this is off topic here, but I don't think that Everett Ross has been a Skrull the entire time we've seen him. I feel like this is a more recent.
Yeah, I would imagine. Sure.
Partially because, I would assume Maria Hill would have, there would have been some kind of a testing process before you bring him into the anti-Skrull team that you would think, let's make sure this guy isn't a Skrull first. So I feel like it happened after he was, on this.
That's
whatever
possible,
this
but you're making assumptions again that they'd be some
Yeah, I am.
We have
I don't
not
know.
seen any anti-Skrull. I mean, you'd think they'd just do that to everybody there, so
Okay.
they might not have
All right.
an anti. It's not. It's like the only way we've seen people turn against their will is if they're dead. It's like, oh, we killed him, and it turns out that he was a witch. No, wait, I'm sorry. No, he's.
Yeah, that was the thing about. I always thought, when it came to the Terminator, because they could always disguise themselves as humans,
Right.
and apparently so lifelike you couldn't tell them apart. But the one thing they couldn't do, as we found out from Terminator 2, they couldn't cry.
Yeah.
So that's how you figure it out. You sit them down to a really tearjerker movie, and you watch. If they don't cry, you're like, all right, yeah, you're obviously a robot. I have to kill you. Back to the Skrulls' powers. So we see that they can not only change their skin,
Yes,
oh look, I
yes.
can become a thing, but their clothes.
Yeah,
and
I don't like that.
And I think, in fact, the objects in their hands, for instance, that ball disappears. I think it becomes a pamphlet, and then maybe it even becomes a detonator. I mean, he could have had the detonator in his pocket, but there's an implication that those things were just disappearing and being replaced by something else.
Yeah.
And okay, so let's assume for a second that ball was the detonator all along.
Okay.
The detonator all along. Would that fake ball bounce? Does it can they give items properties? I guess what are the properties of the ball? Again, if it left his hand, would it immediately turn into a detonator because of some kind of an illusion on the detonator? I mean, I get it. This is getting way in the weeds, but I'm just if they can actually change the nature of items by touching them, they should be using that power a lot more. Whoa.
I imagine, that's one of those things.
That's like an Infinity Stone power is what that is.
Sure, yeah, which makes me think that's not it. It's like they're just being sloppy, I think. They should be doing a better job of having, it's like, okay, you just made a change to somebody else. You put on different clothes. Or, you made a change to something else.
Right.
You need to hook up a different device. So the way that this is going on.
He turns into Samuel L. Jackson. He's got the hat.
He's got a gun.
Glasses or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
They've made that power pretty, OP. It's whoa, okay. That is a power. He could, but also the way they filmed it was a little odd. I appreciated the scene. I liked the metamorphosis of Gravik. He goes from girl to old man to woman. It was fun, but it was he changes when he leaves Fury's and our line of sight. But he's in a public space. Yeah. He's filled with people. I mean, did nobody notice when old man in leather coat turns into woman in dress? I mean, maybe everybody's so
all the
blasé
people,
about powers.
Did no one notice as an explosion went off? I mean, it's like, well, there was an explosion over there, but oh my God, that guy turned into an old woman. Oh.
No, but it's just, as you're saying, they have super strength. They seem to be pretty resilient and stuff. Their power set right now is pretty daunting. I'll say that.
I wouldn't include that. I wouldn't include that.
Okay. I noticed the artwork for the credits is interesting. So, having been working with this AI art generator for the channel,
that's what it is. Yeah.
It is AI. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting commentary, actually. I think there's a use for that, which is like something replicating a human, right? Or in this case, human art.
Oh, okay. Right.
So
yeah.
I feel like there's a...
I hadn't thought of that aspect of it because to me it's just sort of like all the ways in which it gets it wrong. It's like very alien looking. So
it is very alien.
So it's like, oh, this looks kind of weird. That's great. That's what we want. So put that in there. Yeah.
I think the mystery of it, of like, it's not art, but is it? I don't know. Maybe they were making a commentary. That's my thought on it.
Yeah.
I liked that our first real shot of Fury is when he's coming to Earth from a spaceship.
Oh yeah, like third
and he gets
encounters.
Close encounters. He gets that oversaturated entrance that makes him look like an alien until he's
right.
For a show that's posing the question, like, who's the alien? It's kind of a fun way to bring him in there. So kudos to that.
Yeah. I liked Olivia Colman in this. It's not as perhaps nuanced and subtle as I would like, but she's clearly a type, and they decided to have both her and Sam Jackson just to throw the charm at each other.
Yeah, so she's like the MI6's version of Nick Fury is kind of what we're getting, right? And they seem to they know each other. They have a past in some way. They don't trust each other. They can pretend to get along. I got the feeling, and maybe this is obvious, when Fury says he's going for a walk, and Talos tells him, like, what, Moscow at night? You're going to stand out.
Yes.
I think that was the point. I feel like Nick was trying to get captured so he could plant the bug.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think, I mean, you could take it from the fact that he planted a bug. Maybe just bugs every place he goes, but
that's true.
It's like he said, I was trying to get captured, and they probably could have done a little more work to make that feel like a revelation and not just like, oh yeah, I wanted to get captured.
But I like that relationship there. So we get to see, there's the British intelligence angle to all this. Emilia Clarke is playing Talos's daughter, Gaia. She is currently working for the bad guys, but news that her mother was killed by Gravik, or the rebels, makes her seemingly help Talos. Although, of course, ultimately it doesn't help Talos. I don't think she was intentionally double-crossing him. I think Gravik realized that she might turn and so played that to his advantage.
Interesting. I was going to mention a friend of ours, Tyler, has a theory that Gravik is Sam Jackson's son, which suggests that at some point Sam got busy with a Skrull.
Oh, he's a half Skrull.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Right,
if that comes to pass, Tyler, you win the internet.
Yeah. But the other thing Tyler felt like that she definitely knew. In a way, I don't know. It makes that scene mean less to me.
If she knew?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think she knew. I think she. Obviously, we'll find out.
Yeah, we will.
We'll find out how that works. But I think they're setting up Gravik to be like this ultimate chess player guy. He could see all the angles. That's why she was chosen to go get the package. And they had that weird thing like, you go do this, and very good. And like
perhaps.
because they're pushing her.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I'm like kind of 50-50 on it.
In fact, he even says at one point, and I could be wrong, it went by fast, but he says something like he not Gravik, but Gravik's second in command, I think.
Right, that guy.
When he's got the bat, and he says something like, we set the bait, or something like that. The way he says it suggests it wasn't the bomb, like, we've got the bomb ready to go off. It was, we planted the clues so that our dupes are going to show up at the right spot at the right time. And how would he have known that? He would have known that because he knew that Gaia had told Talos what to do. Now, did he tell her to do that? I guess that's the question. Or did she just do it and be like, what? I feel like it's more, there's more drama to it if she was duped, and then she will realize that later and be like, oh my God, this whole time you haven't trusted me, and you've just been playing me for a fool against my dad.
Although typically I feel like that kind of revelation happens later in the show, not early though. So
I
unfortunately,
agree.
dramatically, it makes
later
more
in the season,
sense.
maybe, but okay.
Yeah, right. That's what I meant. Later in the season.
Yeah.
So I feel like,
Well, I
fortunately,
think they'll leave it as a
dramatically-
question for now.
Well, so here's the thing. So if they
Okay.
figured it out that she did that, and therefore they changed their plans and didn't tell her, that means they inherently don't trust her, and this shows
That's
that
true.
she betrayed them. So, unfortunately, I think dramatically it might make more sense if she did betray them, because it's sort of like,
I guess.
okay, on the first episode, can she be appealed to from emotional thing because of her mother and what they're planning, really going to do it, not postpone it? And the answer now, if Tyler is right, is that yeah, she can't be turned. They got that out of the way, as opposed to having it be a question.
I don't think so. I'm
All right, we'll
anti-Tyler on this one. But you're right, though. If that's the case, if that's the case, then the reveal would be later that Gravik will pretend to trust her for several episodes,
Right.
which might get a little old if then it turns out to be like, I didn't trust you the whole time. Like, okay, all right. But we'll see how they play it. But there's a
because
story
really,
in there that's engaging.
She didn't gain anything from this at all. So
Right.
at the very least, Talos shouldn't be the next episode. Wow, well, maybe next time it'll work out.
Yeah,
Especially with
there's,
Maria
there's
Hill
probably
being
going to be
dead.
a moment. They obviously, Talos and his daughter are going to have another conversation somewhere in the next couple episodes, and I think she is going to try to convince him that she didn't know. Now, whether she's lying or not, that'll be to be seen. But I think she's going to try to convince him that I didn't know that was a thing. And anyway, we'll find out.
I encourage all the people watching to weigh in.
Yeah. Give us your theory. This is a theory crafting style show for sure.
Yeah, so
I'll say this. The Skrulls are looking for a home world. I'm like, Mars. You got spaceships. Put on some space. Botany Bay, that place. What the hell? You're like, no, we must conquer this entire race of people and live in the shell of their community in their radioactive, bombed out. Go live on Mars, you jerks. Anyway, okay. So we'll be back talking about episode 2. We're also talking about Strange New Worlds and the Lazarus Project.
Yes.
thank
As
you
referenced
as always,
in
Paul.
this show. You're welcome.
As referenced in this show, exactly. So we will talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.